was around 12 years old when I went on vacation to stay at my grandparents' house. My cousins and the rest of my family lived on the same block, so we would stay out until late into the night, playing games and telling scary stories. There was this one house on the block that was grey and rotting. It had dusty windows, everything was chained up, and the wood was charred. One night, me, my cousins, and all the adults sat down around a fire like it was a normal weekend, gazing at the stars and telling jokes. Suddenly, we heard singing. At first, we actually vibed to it a bit, until we realized there was no radio or any music playing nearby. One of the grandparents recognized the tune and said it was the exact song that the old woman used to sing. Chills went down my spine instantly. Right then, the wind picked up and blew the fire out completely. All the children ran inside while the parents stayed back to investigate the site. They found absolutely nothing. No people, no speakers, nothing. It's been 10 years since that night, and I'm still scared of visiting my grandparents' house. I've talked to other people in the neighborhood, and they all say they've heard similar things coming from that charred, rotting house. It's like her voice never left the place, even after the fire took everything else. When I was 9, we had a neighbor who was in a cult, though we didn't know that at the time. We just knew he was weirdly religious compared to everyone else, and that he didn't worship the same God we did. My mother always told us to stay away from him because he gave off a strange vibe. Every now and then, about 6 other people would gather at his house and stay there all night. On one of those nights, I woke up to the sound of my window opening. It was an old window with no lock. Before I could even think to run, a man reached in and grabbed me. I let out a horrific scream, and my mum came running into the room instantly. The man was startled and dropped me before disappearing into the night. We grabbed my sister and ran to our only other neighbor's house to call the police. From what I heard later, the cops quickly realized the intruder was associated with my cultist neighbor, and they raided his house shortly after the incident. When they went inside, they found strange symbols and candles all over the living room, and everyone inside was dressed in long robes. I have no idea what they planned to do with me that night, but we moved out as fast as possible. Our town was really just a group of 5 houses out in the country, so I don't think any of this ever made the news. Even if it did, we wouldn't have known there were no TVs in that neighborhood. I just feel lucky we got out when we did. This happened maybe 2 or 3 years ago. I was home alone one night while my parents were out, and I let my dog into the yard. When it was time to bring him back in, he started barking like crazy. I looked outside and saw a grey figure darting across the yard. I tried to convince myself I was just seeing things. A few days later, I heard someone knocking on my window. I figured it was one of my friends pranking me, so I looked out, but there was nothing there, just empty darkness. To be absolutely sure, I opened the window and leaned out to check the sides of the house. Still nothing. Then, out of the silence, I heard a sharp whistle. I slammed my window shut as fast as I could. About 2 weeks later, my friend and I decided to explore an abandoned house nearby. All the doors were stuck, so we climbed in through a small window. As soon as we got inside, we noticed a horrific smell. It was coming from a black bag sitting in the corner, stinking like something had been rotting for a long time. Right as I was about to open the bag, I heard that same whistle from before. My friend and I scrambled to hide under an old table. We stayed there for 15 minutes, frozen in fear, until we heard something running on the floor above us. Then we heard it coming down the stairs. I peeked out just a little and saw a person completely covered in grey duct tape. Not a single inch of skin was visible. The figure just stood there, perfectly still, for 2 minutes before heading back upstairs. Once we thought it was safe, we crawled out of our hiding spot. We knew we should have just run, but the smell from that bag was so overpowering we had to know what was inside. I used a pocket knife to cut it open. Inside, we found about 20 human fingers. We panicked, sprinted out of the house, and called 911. When the police arrived, we led them back to the room, but the bag was gone. I have a strange story that happened back in 2008 when I was at college in New Hampshire. 4 of us were hanging out in my friend's room in the freshman dorms, just chatting and having a good time, when my phone started ringing. I looked down and the screen said Dana calling now. It's important to note that Dana was sitting right there in the room with us when her phone called me. I answered it, but there was absolutely no sound on the other end. Just dead silence. The strangest part of the whole experience was where Dana's phone actually was. It was tucked inside her purse on the windowsill, directly below a hot water pipe that ran near the ceiling. I'll never forget the look of total confusion we all gave each other. Dana looked really uncomfortable and whispered, "But my phone is in my purse over there." No one had touched it. We tried to brush it off, but later that year, we discovered something that changed everything. We found out that a few years prior, in that exact same dorm room, a freshman had committed suicide by hanging himself from a pipe in the ceiling. Was the phone call just a weird technical coincidence? Maybe, but after finding out about the room's history, we were all completely freaked out. It felt like someone was trying to use the closest thing they could find to reach out from that corner of the room. A few years ago, when I was 12, I went out of town to stay at my cousin's house for a few days. They were a low-income family living in a small, old, run-down town. The first few nights went as normal, swimming, walking around, just having fun. On the last night, we had to go to bed early because we were leaving first thing in the morning. We were all sleeping in the same room, but we couldn't drift off. So being 12-year-old boys, we started telling scary ghost stories. The stories were terrifying, even looking back on them today. Eventually, everyone else fell asleep, and it was just me. I got thirsty and went to the kitchen for some water. All the parents slept downstairs, and the kitchen was upstairs. I got my water, but before heading back, I needed to use the bathroom. As I was walking, I saw a shadow clear as day walked right past me. I tried not to think much of it, went into the bathroom and closed the door. Just as I finished, the lights completely shut off. I hadn't touched the switch. In the darkness, I saw that same shadow again. I got hit with pure paranoia and sprinted back to bed. I laid there, unable to sleep, until about 4 o'clock in the morning. When I finally woke up an hour later, I told my aunt what happened. She looked at me dead serious and said, "It's back again." She's a very religious Catholic, and when I asked her what she meant, she just walked off like nothing happened. The area they lived in had a lot of gangs and homeless people. As we were sitting in the car about to leave, I caught something out of the corner of my eye. Near a pile of bricks by the house, I saw a skinny, long-haired, unbathed man just watching us. I don't know if he was connected to the shadow, but there were rumors of devil worshippers and strange people in that town. We never went back there again after we heard what else had been happening in that neighborhood. Love you, Auntie Jess.